Are you afraid to make more money because you think you have to pay more taxes? Let's talk about that. This is a big one. A lot of people misunderstand how the tax code works when it comes to income tax. A lot of times we talk about tax brackets and straddling tax brackets and things. You probably have heard some of these terms, and you have maybe the same misconception that I did when we first started talking about this, years and years ago when we're working and when we're starting to make more money. And I was afraid to make more money because I was going to have to pay more in taxes, right? The percentage rate goes up the more money you make. And it changes every year, so you can check your tax, check the tax codes, check the brackets, talk to your tax professional about this always. But I wanted to help us understand in general how this works. So the fear has always been, let's just say I made $50,000 and I had the opportunity for a side hustle, or I had the opportunity to make some extra income doing something else, and it was it's going to create another $5,000 of income. So, $400 and some odd dollars a month that I could make doing dog walking or mowing lawns or painting, garages for people or whatever I'm doing to make extra money. I said, oh, well, I don't want to jump the tax bracket. I want to get into the next tax bracket because if I'm paying 20% tax now, it jumps up to 24%. I have to pay 24% on all my money instead of the 20%. I don't want to do that. It's not worth it to make that extra $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. That is a misconception of how the taxes actually work. So how it works is it's a tiered system where from 0 to X amount of dollars, you pay this tax. So let's walk through what the actual tax is based on when I'm recording this video. It's at the end of 2025 into 2026. I'm looking at the 2026 tax codes. You're going to pay 10% tax on any money that you make as income from $0 all the way up to $12,400. If you make one more dollar than $12,400, so you make $12,401, it jumps you to the next tax bracket, and that next tax bracket is 12%. So a lot of us would have said, well, if I made $12,401, then that puts me in the next tax bracket, so I'm going to have to pay 12% on my money rather than 10% on my money. Well, that's not true. You only pay the 12%, that next tax bracket, you only pay that rate at the money that is over that threshold. So you're still going to pay the 10% on the $12,400, but you're only going to pay the 12% tax rate on that $1 that you made that's over that threshold. So let's say you made $12,500. Let's just go over by $100. You pay 10% on the $12,400. You only pay 12% on the $100 over that threshold that you made. So you don't pay 12% on all the money that you brought in. So that's one of the big misconceptions when it comes to income tax. Right, let's move to the next tax bracket, because most of us will, if you're watching this video, will probably make more than $12,400 unless you're a student or working part-time, you're full-time in school or whatever. So the next tax bracket jumps from 12%, jumps all the way up to 22%. So 12% is any monies that you make from $12,401 to $50,400. And a lot of us are in that boat because that would be like middle of the pack income. So let's say you make $45,000. Well, that puts you in that 12% tax bracket. So if you had the opportunity to make a $6,000 or $7,000 bonus or extra job or side hustle or something like that, that would put you over the $50,400 mark. So again, in the same argument, the same mentality, that misconception is, well, if I make $52,000 instead of the $45,000 that I was making, it's going to jump me into the next tax bracket of 22%. And I don't want to pay an extra 10% on all of my income. That is the misconception. Again, we're walking through this into different scenarios to show you what actually happens. So you're going to pay 10% on all monies from from 0 to 12,400. Any money that you make from 12,401 to 50,400, you're going to pay the 12% on. Any money you make over the 50,400, you're going to pay the 22% on. So you don't pay 22% on all $50,000. You pay 22% on any dollars that you make that are over the 50,400 threshold. Right? So if you ended up making $52,000, you'd pay 10% on the first 12,400. You'd pay 12% on the 12,401 through 50,400, and then you'd pay 22% on the $2,000 or the $1,600 that you would make over the 50,400. That's how that threshold, that tax bracket works. So don't be afraid to make more money just because of the taxes. It doesn't work the way that you probably think it or thought it worked. Now you know. So if you have the opportunity to make some more money, even if it jumps you up a tax bracket, that's okay. Make that extra money, create that extra income so that you can start living your ideal life faster and faster and faster. Like, yes, you are going to pay more money on the money that you make over those thresholds, but it's still going to come out better for you in the long run if you make that extra money, and even if you jump into that next tax bracket. And again, you can consult your tax professional for that. You can actually do your research, do all that thing. But I just wanted to help you understand how that tax brackets and how the income taxes worked, so that you're not holding on to this, well, I got to stay below 50,000. I've got to stay below 50,400. I've got to stay below X, Y, and Z. And if you make more money, it's the same progression, right? You still pay those percentages on all of those income thresholds. It's only on the extra money that you make over those thresholds that you pay that higher rate. Okay, so I hope that helps you understand a little bit about, like, not to be afraid of going out and making a little bit of extra money. Go and do it. Make that extra money. Do the side hustles. Do the side business. Do all the things that you need to do so that you can start living your ideal life a lot faster. All right, we'll see you in another video.